Bagseed Chronicles is a podcast about cannabis cultivation.
Oh man, I'm looking for them big ones, them big girls.
Hey guys, welcome to the Bagseed Chronicles. This is Uncle Dig, and I just wanted to check in with you real quick. I will not be including a garden update this week. I've been a little under the weather, and I've got some stuff coming up this weekend, so I wasn't able to get it done for you. However, I do have a lovely interview today with Brandon from the Smokin Okies. I think you'll really enjoy. Stay tuned for more of the only regularly scheduled programming I ever do, which is the garden update. I'm sorry I didn't get to it this weekend. Anyway, enjoy this interview with Brandon from the Smokin Okies, Oklahoma's premier cannabis podcast. Hi, welcome to the Bagseed Chronicles. Today we'll be interviewing Brandon from the Smokin Okies Podcast. He is an actor, cannabis activist, and medical patient in Oklahoma. Welcome to the podcast, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. The weather's beautiful out here. I was able to fertilize my girls. I always fertilize on Friday because it's easy to remember.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, I was up earlier today, and part of it was went over these questions, and we'll get into it later, but one was about growing, and something you said about it, if you're going to grow outside, especially, you got to get up early.
Yeah.
So I'm going to miss the grow season, but I'm like training myself for it already.
Well, and that's my opinion. There are other people that seem to do fine, going out and watering and stuff at 9 a.m. But if you're going to rinse off the plants, if you're going to like apply a foliar spray or do anything like that, you do need to do it late at night or early in the morning, because you don't want the water refracting full sun onto the leaves. It can cause some burning.
Yeah. Like them poor little ants under a magnifying glass.
Yes. So how about you? What have you been up to this week?
Oh man, this week it's been a weird week. Like, I just moved into the new area.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. It's still a little weird. I haven't bought it yet, so I'm like renting for a couple months, and I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, it's exciting, except for my move out with my old apartment. I've been kind of going to war with them.
So
it's been one of those weeks, one of those mentally draining weeks.
My last rental experience before I got this house was very unpleasant. The guy raised the rent every year as high as he legally could, while the place slowly deteriorated around us.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel for the future generations, with all these investment firms buying up these single family homes and turning them into rental properties. They're kind of removing like the one thing that kept people into the middle class, which is home ownership. It sucks.
And not to mention, I don't know how it is where you are, but here we have some builders that are known for very, very cheap builds, cheap quality builds, and that's what they're throwing up. So that's what people are going to be renting.
Yeah, I don't know very much about construction and stuff. The houses here seem a little different than the houses I'm used to from Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
Bricks not as common here. Wood and even wood like facades and stuff are more common here, because wood's always been a little bit cheaper in the Northwest due to what industries we have here.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see a lot of like really like cool placarding, but you don't see like in Oklahoma. I feel like one of the distinct features of like Midwest and some Southern architecture is like bricks going up almost to the roof line on some houses.
Yeah,
that's really expensive to do here.
Yeah, like this house, it's got it's not quite brick, it's more stone, but it goes all the way up.
Same thing. You see flagstone houses out here,
Yeah.
but they're prohibitively expensive to build out here.
Well, yeah, I only knew about the builders, I think, because I was on the search for a home, which is a terrible time. It is a seller's market right now, for sure. So,
Yeah. So what are you smoking out there in that seller's market in
oh
Oklahoma?
man, well, today it is some Catholic schoolgirl.
Is that
Uh,
what is that?
that is, let me pull it up because I didn't know. It's a it's a cross between Teacher's Pet and Girl Scout cookies. It's a hybrid.
Okay.
They didn't put a lot on the bag, and I bought this a while ago at a dispensary. If there's any Oklahoma listeners here, a dispensary called Cannabox down in Moore, Oklahoma, and this shit is good.
I'm so
I
glad.
truth be told, I had a little before the show. That's why I'm so chatty.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I always I there's a right now I always have a go-to like hybrid strain that I
Mhm.
like to take a bong rip of or smoke like a pinner joint before I do the podcast.
Yeah.
And right now it's a hybrid strain called the 90s called from farm out of
Oh,
called Puds Buds. I was buying it at one place and then I found it cheaper at a different dispensary. So it's around the valley here and I really enjoy it. It's got like a good body high for my pain, but
mhm.
it's got like an uplifting sativa buzz, but without the anxiety. It's really nice.
Nice. Speaking of that body buzz, I just tried last night for the first time some 2-to-1 CBD THC bud.
Yeah.
And man, me personally, like that is definitely a medical plant, man. Like I was talking to Evan, our co-host on Smokin Okies about that. And like it hit me more like a light edible would as far as a body buzz went. I
I'm,
don't know if
I'm,
that's normal, but
I,
that's what it did for me. And I liked it.
that's
It
how
wasn't
I,
one to party on, but it was one to
no,
relax on, you know.
honestly, depending on my mood, like there's a lot of different, they're coming out, they're not coming out with, they've developed over the past 5-6 years a lot of really cool CBD cultivar. I think someone mentioned one of my favorites on your show recently called Canatonic. Now,
Oh,
when you see that, it's a 1-to-1. It's not going to get you super high, but when
mm-hmm.
you see that, like, get it. It's like a little bit more of an indica
Oh.
leaning version of that feeling you're describing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me clarify. The 2-to-1 was CBD to 1 THC.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing CBD Dutch treat that. But when I heard someone mention Canatonic on your podcast, I got excited
Mm-hmm.
because that was the first good tasting CBD strain I ever tasted.
Yeah, that was my one gripe was it was like a muted flavor of everything. It felt like, you know,
A,
everything was just a little, it was just muted.
and it can be a little hay, the CBD strains
Uh-huh.
don't have that good nose that a lot of good cannabis does. They
Yeah.
that to me they smell a little hempy. Although I did grow my first CBD I grew was called Pennywise.
Uh-huh.
And I swear that this thing almost like tasted a little bit like beefy. It was the weirdest.
Really?
Yeah, not, it wasn't, it was good medicine. It helped me through a little bit after a car accident me and my wife were in, but
Mm.
it, it just it was it was the only weed that I'd ever tasted that tasted kind of beefy. Like after you smoked it, it was like you had that rich flavor, like you just eaten like a hamburger.
Mm. God, I would probably love that. I love burgers. And I'm also high. So
To be honest, it wasn't always my favorite, but it was all right. I don't know, something about smoking a plant and it tasting kind of like meat.
no, yeah, it's a little weird.
Well, and that might not have been what Pennywise tasted like. That might have just been my horrible. It was my first like year growing. So I
Uh-huh.
might have done a poor job of it, and mine was the only one that tasted like. So
Well,
I've been enjoying listening to your podcast sometimes in the background while I'm like gardening or something or doing repetitive tasks. Um, what do you enjoy most about working on the podcast?
well, first off, thank you for listening, man. We appreciate that. But what I love the most about podcasting, I would say, is first and foremost, it gives Evan and I have been long time friends, but as friends do, you go in and out of each other's lives. The contact comes in and out or whatever. But since doing the podcast, now we have a reason to get together and hang out every week. So it really is buddies hanging out, just talking about stuff that we love and we feel, well, our listeners love, and also we think helps a lot of people. So it's just been fun to get together with, my buddy, and then just like-minded people from what the podcast did. It's just a hell of a lot of fun.
Right. And and it comes through that y'all enjoy each other's company and having a good time. Now I got to be honest. I listened to one episode of your podcast because initially I was just like thinking like, well, okay, like, how do you promote a podcast? Like, I want more listeners than I have. And I'm like, well, I don't like Twitter and I have a mouth and I need to think before I speak, and I shouldn't have access to who I would have access to on Twitter. So I just moved on from there. And I'm like, well, Reddit, I'll just make an Uncle Dig account on Reddit. And then I go on to, our podcast or something, or I see Evan's pretty active on Reddit.
Oh, he is.
And I encountered him and I saw our podcast host or something. And he's posted like, hey, looking for someone who like maybe smokes or grows weed. They can be in Oklahoma, but they don't have to be. And I'm like, I grow weed.
Yeah.
I have a podcast. And I'm like, so I hit him up and I'm like, well, before I like go on this dude's podcast, I should probably check him out and make sure he's not like a Nazi or like,
yeah, do your due diligence, man.
Yeah. And then I listened and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I listened to another one a little bit later. And then I ended up subscribing, and there it goes. So it was cynical at first, but then I genuinely enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I'll admit, man, when we started talking, we hit up that Reddit. There's a subreddit for, trading hosts or guests or whatever. And we were just looking for promotion as well and trying to learn the ropes. It was pretty much the same story, just back on your podcast, like, okay, what's this guy doing? Oh man, oh, that was good. All right. And then it's like, oh yeah, let's do this. And it just turned out to be fun, and you're a cool dude, and I'm glad.
I've been enjoying it too. It seems like we started right around the same time too, which is nice.
Yeah,
there's not some weird power differential when we go on each other's show, which is nice.
Yeah, it's just a couple of little guys helping each other out.
Now, what surprised you most about podcasting when you started doing it?
There's actual work to it. That was the surprising thing. It's a bit more than just pressing record and talking.
Yeah, it definitely can be. And if you don't follow up with people, they can't appear on your show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's so many other things that come with the podcast that you never would think about it, because it did start as just an idea in Discord. We're like, man, we talk about this a lot, why not just start recording it?
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because you start thinking it's going to be a lark, and then you end up getting into sunk cost really quick with something like this. But it's also neat because you start to see, like, week to weeks, you can see about how many people are actually listening repeatedly.
Yeah.
And even if it's a really small number, you feel like you owe it to whoever's listening and who's been listening to keep, pumping out content. And it's also like really fun. You get to talk to people you might not otherwise normally have a reason to talk to.
Oh, for sure, man. People on our Discord, things like what we're doing here now, never would have happened without this.
Well, no. Now, I understand that you've grown a little once before, and you plan to grow again once you get your own space. How many plants are you planning on doing?
Well, here in Oklahoma with your card, and for every card holder in the household, you can have 6 seedlings and 6 mature plants. So I'm at least going to have 6. I'm going to have some roommates because I'm buying a house that's too big so I can rent out part of it and make it easier to own a home. Just turns out that there are some family of mine who also smoke and are card holders. So I don't know that we have the space to push it to 18, but
it depends, right? So how much
uh-huh.
do you value individual plant yield over variety, right? Because
Yeah.
you could start them in a shady area, right, and put them out there late in the season and grow like 18 like little 2 foot tall auto flowers, and
Mm-hmm.
then you'd make your 18, or you could grow 6 big ones in the same space.
Oh man, I'm looking for them big ones, them big girls.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, but I want to do both indoor and outdoor. I believe I've missed the season here, and we have a bit of a heat wave right now. So I don't even want to try to learn outdoor during that. I'll wait for next year's conditions and hopefully have a super soil by then. That's what I would like to do with the outdoor grow is a
Uh,
super soil, add water.
I think that's an admirable goal to start with. I haven't done a complete super soil grow. What I start with is super soil, but there comes a certain point where the plant's not getting enough, and I start supplemental feeding with some bottled nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that is my unwillingness to mix a super soil rich enough to get me through the whole season.
Yeah.
That's my hesitant. I'm a chronic underfeeder. It's a habit that I'm still trying to get out of.
Mm-hmm. That was my problem with the one grow I do have. I stunted the growth of the girl because I underwatered for a while because I was afraid of overwatering. But I was using cocoa at that point, and I'm like, I don't know how I missed the fact that it's very hard to overwater in cocoa. So
I'm
so then she started getting the shit she needed.
Oh man. So I was scared to grow in cocoa. I've always grown in some variant of soil, but so
Mm-hmm.
overwatering has always kind of been a phantom that haunted me. And
Yeah.
honestly, this is my it's 2021, so this is my fifth or sixth outdoor season. I should really have this memorized. It's like 5 or 6. So this is the first year that it's July at almost August, and I haven't overwatered any of my plants once. It's my first year outdoors.
Nice.
So like
Nice.
so what I'm saying is it's completely understandable
Yeah.
for growers to overwater their plant. I'm not saying I did it chronically, but like accidents have happened in
Uh-huh.
every grow that I've done outdoors at least once every season. The plants can recover, especially if it's only one time instance.
Yeah, and from what I remember, if you're keeping a watchful eye on your plants, you can generally correct most things.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. It'll tell you. She'll tell you. That water only super soil, part of why I want to try that is because some of the best stuff I have smoked out here, probably it might even be the best, comes from a company called Native Veteran, and they do super soil water only grows. And it's called, the strain is, for you Oklahoma listeners, if you pop in on this episode, is a Windwalker. It's amazing. You would have heard me go on for 20 minutes about it on our last episode of Smokin Okies. And they do it with the message to people saying, hey, you can grow your own at home. We grow really good stuff, but hey, look, all you have to do is add water. They're advocates for people growing their own.
And that's how everybody in the industry should be. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people who are worried about home growers cutting into the tax base, that's silly. What you're not like, so some home growers are able to grow to the point where it keeps them in cannabis year round without buying it, but most growers I know still buy from time to time, if
Mhm.
anything, just to test new strains they might want to grow.
Oh
um
yeah.
and so, but also, that tax revenue that you may be thinking you might be missing on the legal market is going to other industries in your states, like gardening centers, feed stores, stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
Cannabis is a boon to the rural economy in a way nothing else really has been.
Oh yeah. We have a cash crop that everyone wants. It's hot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
And
So the ag
Indiana needs to legalize because they have that
oh
sun.
yeah. Yes, yes, they do. It'll be perfect there. Perfect. They can stop slinging soybeans.
You just do half soybean and half cannabis. Indiana can
Yeah.
rule the world.
Uh-huh.
So,
But sadly, I think they're going to be one of the last states because they've got a few pharmaceutical companies based out of there.
I kind of think about the same thing about my home state, Texas. I think y'all are going to be fighting because I know that people say that Texas is a medical state, but I disagree because they have THC limits. So Texas isn't really a medical state.
And they're very low. If I remember, what are they? They're like,
it's something like ludicrous, like 3% or something.
Yeah. It's like what Oklahoma used to do to their beer.
Ugh, you know? Well, yeah. I used to go up to visit family and they would ask my dad to bring some of that Texas beer up.
Yeah.
So have you known it? Because I know that Oklahoma has a reciprocal card system. Like you can pay your $100 if you have a medical card. Oregon's one of them. If you have a medical card out of state, you pay your fee, and then you can go into a medical dispensary down there in Oklahoma. Have you known anyone who's done that?
I haven't known anyone personally that's done that because really the people I talk to have convinced to move here. But I have on our Discord, I believe people have talked about it before, and on Reddit, we've seen people, wanting info on it. And the thing I would say is you want to plan it out. I think you were a victim of this, where there are time frames there that you have to be aware of. So you want to plan it out a month in advance, at least, maybe 45 days or so.
Because I remember I looked in and you had to apply like 30 days before you were going to be there. And I never, like, especially when I was in college, I never knew when I was going to be able to go anywhere. And I had this short-term availability where I could drive and see some relatives in Oklahoma, and I didn't have time to get the card. And it was like, this is lame. And, I was like, I kind of like felt out one dispensary. I was like, and they're like, oh, they're serious. They're not, no one's going to sell me weed. No. And honestly, bro, it was kind of weird because I've never, like, I've done the medical thing when it was like medically legal, but not recreationally legal. I've never been like some like complete outlaw, like dude out in the hills. Like it's always been under medical cards to some degree. It's always been legal. Yeah. So I'm not comfortable like going into some town I've never been into and like where do I go? Where do I buy weed in Tulsa? I don't know. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'll just be not as hungry and mildly annoyed for a couple days, and then I'll go back home.
Yeah. Music won't sound the same.
Now I will say one of my this is how awesome Oklahoma is for anyone who's not been there. One of my grandpa's retired friends was like, "Oh, honey, can you not get any reefer?" And I'm like, I'm like, no, I can't. She's like, she just opens up her purse and gives me a couple of gummies. She's like, eat these before you go to bed tonight. And I'm like, oh my, thank you so much. And I can't dime her out because I know that the Oklahoma state legislature gets all up in arms and their panties in a wad about it. But whatever.
Let's just say I may have allegedly seen certain situations like that happen, allegedly.
But I kind of think it would be fun the next time I go to Oklahoma, whenever that be. We do a little, like, we talk about it, like we do like a reciprocity journal, and we'll go over.
Oh yeah,
that'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I can play the audio on my podcast, and y'all can play it on yours. We'll do like a crossover, maybe next season or something. I don't know when I'm going to Oklahoma again.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going anywhere because like I said, I've got friends up in Washington. I've always wanted to hit California again. I've got a reason to drive up through there. And
I'm right in between all your friends. I'm kind of in this weird, like, dead zone off the 5. Like, so I'm close to like the Medford metro area, which is like 35-ish miles north of the California border.
Okay.
So I'm in Southern Oregon.
So, how close are you to the Redwoods?
If you came and crashed in my spare bedroom, we could drive to the Redwoods the next morning in like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh my God. I've never been there. And being a Star Wars nerd, especially.
And allegedly on some coast trips, like joints might happen in the car. So.
Oh yeah. Allegedly,
maybe. you know, as Paul Wall says, running down the 101, smoking the best bud under the sun. Feel me?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I saw on Instagram that you paint a bit, and I know that you've said you've done some acting.
Mm-hmm.
What other artistic pursuits do you engage in? Do you do some other stuff besides podcasting, painting, and acting?
Oh, I do a little bit of everything, man. I have in the past few years, I've kind of been cultivating a lifestyle of being able to, I don't know, play around, you know. So I have a guitar, I have art stuff like paints, stuff to draw with. I bought audio video stuff so I can supplement with the acting and any little ideas I have for anything funny. I don't know. I keep stuff around. I like to be creative. So basically, I like it all. I try a little bit of everything.
A little
Um,
bit of
I'm
a
I'm
jack of all
kind of
trades.
a jack of all trades, master of none, basically. But you know,
I feel that. I've been exploring that as I've gotten a little bit older, in addition to growing, a lot of the guitar that you may or may not hear on the Chronicles is me.
yeah.
I have a friend who's been a longtime friend, a childhood friend, who played the ukulele on the intro to my podcast, and he
Mhm.
comes up here and we play music together periodically, and
Oh, that's cool.
we've been doing that shtick, like him on guitar and me like singing nonsense since we were in 10th grade.
Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, Evan and I, we used to play, he plays bass. We used to play together. We never really got too great, but it was fun. You know, it was
Is he
fun.
the bass on your podcast?
Yeah, that's him.
That's
That's him.
awesome, man.
I'm the bong rip, he's the bass. So
Playing the instruments of your people.
yeah, yeah. And I wasn't comfortable or I guess confident enough to put some of my guitar down for it. So
Well, the great thing
uh,
about I think the cannabis audience is they'll forgive a little bit of like shoddy playing if the overall message is groovy and it's not
yeah.
like so grating that you can't listen
Yeah.
to it.
Well, my guitar playing tends to always gravitate to blues. I I don't know, man. Like, cause I'm not that great at guitar. I know some chords, you know, I know how to play a bit. I know a few scales, but the uh the minor pentatonic scale I know through and through, and the blues note in there I throw in. So it all just sounds damn same.
One of these days I'm gonna have to pick your brain. I have a finger injury on my left hand that
Uh-huh.
prevents me from playing guitar for longer than like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind, like, and I have trouble. I haven't learned any of the scales or anything, and I'm curious about blues. I play harmonica a little
Oh,
bit.
nice. I've tried that, but I couldn't get, I don't know.
You have to
Sorry to tell
sound
it. So, yeah.
you have to sound really, really bad for like 3 years, man. It,
Oh, yeah. I probably just couldn't make it through that. I was like, man, I can't.
honestly, there's a long beginner phase. At least there was for me. And I don't learn like normal people. Like I just sat there and played the damn thing.
Yeah.
So
Organic learn. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
And I've been playing now for like 6 or 7 years, but I'm not as good as like maybe a disciplined musician would be. But I'm getting to where my lungs are like I'm barrel chested from it.
Mm. I have that from coughing, being a long time smoker.
Maybe there's a little bit of that, but I like to blame the harmonica. So,
uh,
so is the cannabis a bit of a muse for you, or is it just that the medicinal benefit helps free your mind from your symptoms to allow you to access the artistic part of your brain, or is it both, or does it kind of go beyond that? Like,
it's most definitely both. My cannabis use in general started because it was fun. You know, it was something I did in high school. I had a friend who had some. He's like, yeah, try it again. And it was fun. But then I also found that it was relieving my ailments. You know, it was my back wasn't killing me. You know, I could stand up straight, and among the other things. So it quickly became medicinal. As far as the creative stuff, uh Yeah, the medicinal side lets me not focus on my fucking back and open up my mind to other things. And it's definitely been a muse, definitely, because there are times where you'll smoke a little too much of a certain strain or something, and maybe it sidetracks you. But at the same time, some of the best performances that I think I've given acting wise came from my study being high as balls on the right strain. Something about going through a script, man. I like to go through, memorize it with a clear head, and then smoke down with Mary Jane, because she helps bring out the subtext or the creative, the artistic flair, I guess.
So you've been acting for how long?
2 years.
Okay.
But also that was a pandemic year.
So you got into the industry as the perfect time, is what you're telling me.
Oh yeah, totally. So I'm not like, no one's gonna recognize my name for acting or anything. I'm still pretty new to it, pretty green. But
do
it's
you
been
do you sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's been one of those things. I acted in high school,
Okay.
in drama class. I did plays and stuff. And it's been one of those things ever since then. It's like, oh man, I really liked that. I should try it again. And here in Oklahoma, I found an acting studio that had like a la carte classes. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go try a class, see if I still like it. And I haven't looked back since.
Well,
I love it.
That's awesome. So that kind of brings me up, because like you kind of like moved to Oklahoma, like what, like in the last 5 years, kind of to follow your dreams a bit, didn't you?
Well, not to
Or
follow my dreams.
did the move happen kind of before the acting even
The
happened?
move happened before that.
Okay.
The move happened because I needed a change, man. Like I was in a rut. That's when I was a big boozer, lived on my own, working a job I hated just to pay bills, to live in a place I hated, So
I do.
So yeah. One of my Marine buddies was out here. He's like, yeah, man, come out here. We got a place you can rent and all this stuff. So I made the move, and it's been the best thing I've ever done. The best thing. My life's turned around in more ways than I can count in the past 3 years. Cannabis has played a big part in that as well.
Yeah, a lot of the stoners I know personally, at least, who have had struggles with alcoholism in the past. A lot of the big ways that cannabis has helped them, at least as a harm reduction measure, if not, therapy, is it kind of it tickles enough of the same itch for them to, if not, quit, to switch from alcohol to cannabis, which is less harmful.
Yes, I agree. I still have a beer every now and then. Like I've got nothing against alcohol, but it's definitely more dangerous than cannabis is. And you should definitely do it responsibly if you choose to.
Well, it sounds like you were drinking to the point of like time traveling fairly often. Like I was back in the day.
Now, to me, my 20s were not 10 years long. I don't remember 10 years of them. Okay.
What's that Charlie Daniels song? Was it 25 or was it 26?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a mess for a while.
Oh yeah. Well, we're allowed, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of, because I kind of had it. I had a lot of times I meet people and my brain just writes a narrative about them based on a few facts. So I was like, oh, he went to Oklahoma. He went to Oklahoma to follow his acting dream. Of course, that's why he went. So why did you go to Oklahoma without? And then of course that completely fell apart. So there you go.
Oh no. Well, yeah, I came out here for a change. I actually came out here for a job that was supposed to pay more than it ended up paying. So I left that job and went back to school, because Oklahoma is a very, very veteran friendly state. They've got a lot of good programs for veterans, one of which is you can go to trade school for free, and that's not on the GI Bill.
Nice. What trade did you pick?
Machining. It was precision machining, CNC machining.
Okay.
The thing is I got my certification, and then a month or so after I graduated is when I took the acting class. So I forget, I've never had a machining job. I'm a certified machinist, but I've never, yeah.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah. And then I fell in love with Oklahoma. It's the cost of living here is great. The weed laws, amazing. And it's got a burgeoning entertainment industry that I hope to ride the wave on, be a part of.
Yeah, that it does seem like parts of Oklahoma have kind of got like now people from Austin are going to get mad at me, but because y'all are weird, y'all are very weird, but there is a bohemian vibe that some cities have had in the past or do have. Seattle historically has been a more bohemian city. Austin, Portland, and to a certain extent, Oklahoma City. So, right, maybe, kind of.
Yeah. Well,
close.
I wonder if they're making the migration, because I know what you're talking about. And those and you did it in like the order it happened, because it went Seattle, Oregon, and then they found their way all the way down to the south in Austin somehow. And I think now we're coming up because they trickle in. There's not enough room. You got to find another one. I think Oklahoma City might be next.
Well, right, and these and I don't even want to say hipster cities, just like like I said, I call them bohemian, right? Like Paris moves in and out of that, and that's not even fair to the actual inhabitants of historical Bohemia. But what I mean by bohemian is, you got hippies, artists, all that friction that they bring. It's very exciting.
I don't want to do a whole, causation, correlation, whatever, but it's been pumping for the last about 3 years. And how long's this mother plant been legal here? Let me check. Right around that amount of time as well. So
now, Brandon, are you insinuating that musicians, artists, radical political thinkers all enjoy cannabis?
Well, you take from it what you will. I'm just pointing out.
It's been interesting watching the plant shape the places it's allowed to blossom a little bit more in, and also how those places shape the plant, right? We're starting to see, at least temporarily, regional cannabis cultures like kind of formulate and kind of form on the different areas where it's cultivated the most and the most people smoke. Oregon has a very distinctive culture, and I think the Northwest at large, of cannabis consumption that I think would boggle the mind of people who don't live in this culture. Just the amount of weed that it seems everybody who's in the scene smokes, just sheer amount, like people like smoking. It blew my mind when I first come here, and now I'll smoke that way if I can. But in the culture in Oklahoma seems like it will get there eventually, but in a different way, because Oklahoma is a little more conservative, right? And just
that's
a little
what
bit.
I thought.
But no, it's not. Right. That's what everyone thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I feel like I'm getting to watch what you're talking about happen like over a long period of time in the Northwest. I'm getting to watch it happen in a microcosm and faster.
I know.
I'm seeing everyone go from someone's got weed, to that's just the everyday smell now. You're going to smell, and it's everyone. And you get to see the non-users getting used to it or resisting it. It's strange. It's strange and wonderful to watch.
Well, and that's kind of why I like to keep saying, let's overgrow the world. Like, I don't care if, listen, people get mad at me a little bit. Like, I don't care if you grow organic weed. I want you to be responsible with your nutrients. I don't want you to use anything dangerous. And I don't want you to water to runoff when you're using chemical nutrients. Please and thank you. But I don't care if the weed you grow is organic. I don't care if you grow 2-foot plants or 10-foot tall plants. But if you want to grow I want you to be able to. And so I want
Yes.
everyone who wants to, whether they have a windowsill or a closet or a front area that they're not using or an old raised bed in the backyard in the house that grandma left them, I want them to be able to grow weed. And anyone who tries to stop them, I want to hinder their ability to stop them in any way.
Yes. Yes.
I want to free the weed. I don't want to regulate it. I don't care if your kids can see it. Seeing it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
And try smoking it fresh. Let your kid try. He'll try all day. He'll never get high. It's too wet.
Yeah.
So like, it's not hurting you. Let it grow. And and we have the whole prohibition. It stinks. Get it away.
Yeah.
That's work. We tried your way for 100 years. Now let's go the other way. Weed everywhere all the time.
Yeah, totally. And that's all they have right now is all I've seen is the smell. That's all they can latch on to is the smell that, they scoff their nose at you while they drink their beer or whatever. And it's like, come on, buddy. I saw it happen at a concert a couple weeks ago. We were at a concert, Evan and I. We talked about it in one of our recent podcasts about we had the chain of stoners. Like I smelled a whiff. I got a big whiff of some Chiba. So I look at Evan, I'm like, did you smell that? He's like, yep. So he pulls out his joint because that question we all have as stoners at a venue is it cool to smoke here? Was answered.
We all have that answer. Like no one's pulling somebody out of the crowd. So
So we light ours up and a few minutes go by and I notice a couple girls about 5 rows ahead looking around. They're trying to find the smell and they lock eyes with me. I give them the finger guns and they end up lighting up and it just went through the crowd.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I saw the people next to them scooting away, getting as far away from them as they could.
Well,
as they're sloshed, they were drunk, they were inebriated. So it's like, yeah, you're gonna smell this for a minute or two. You're gonna go nose blind to it here in a minute. Just shut the fuck up and enjoy your beer, right?
Here's the thing that I think the real thing that the system and the states have to catch up on is that those people always have that social weapon of the secondhand smoke, maybe making them piss hot. And so they'll weaponize that. So once we get rid of at-work drug testing, all the excuses are out the window for people to step all over us. They're gone.
True.
So that's the next big frontier is getting rid of at-work drug testing. Now, I'll say cannabis drug testing for the whinging people out there, but I would rather just get rid of all of it. Look, okay, I get the fact that maybe we need to test truck drivers for some drugs, not all drugs, some drugs. We need to test certain people for certain drugs, right? We don't want methed out ambulance drivers, maybe soldiers, right? Some people shouldn't be able to do coke on the weekends, but that doesn't extend to everybody. And I'm sorry, and it never should have.
Do you want to go full Amsterdam?
Yeah, the only thing is meth, man. Meth is a weird one, and I don't know how you fix meth. It's good for soldiers, but for nothing else. What do we do with it? Like, it's stupid. It's bad.
It's ruined a lot of lives. That's for sure.
The only medicinal use for meth is for literal narcolepsy. That's it.
Yeah. Not like this green though.
Oh no, that's a panacea.
No. Yes. And if you overdose on it, you'll probably just take a nap.
Yeah. Like you would die from smoke inhalation before you be able to smoke enough to get you to OD on.
Oh, we did the math on the show one time because we had a chocolate bar that had 4,200 milligrams. Yeah, 4,200 milligrams. And we're like, man, what would happen if we ate this whole thing? It's like, oh, we'd probably get sick. You wouldn't actually get hurt because the lethal dosage was way, way more than that.
I've had too much edibles where I got like the spins basically. And what happens is if you eat way too many, you either have like kind of a trippy experience, but I never really get the trippy experience when I eat too many edibles. I'm just like, oh, too much edibles, night, and then fall asleep. Like I've tried to like have these trippy experiences I had on edibles the first couple times I eat them. Like now I'm ready for it. No, straight to nap time. No trip for Uncle Dig. Just straight to bed. That's it.
They don't always put me to sleep, but the one I would be chasing was there was this Oreo brownie I had, and it was the best edible. I've never been able to get that same edible buzz as the first one.
Yeah, edibles are always tricky, and with edibles, any cannabis, but especially with edibles, you can always smoke more, you can always eat more, but you can never unsmoke or uneat what you've already smoked or eaten.
Yes. We were taking your advice for a new cannabis users the other day with a friend of mine who he suffers with anxiety. I was trying the 2-to-1 with him because he wanted somebody to try it with him. That's why I tried it. And I even pulled out a timer, did your whole thing. I was like, check it out, man. There's going to be a J here. Take one puff. If you're good, you're good. If not, hit it up in 15 minutes. And then if that doesn't do well, we're going to go for lower CBD. And he had a great time. So your advice has worked.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Hey, there will always be someone there. That's the great thing about cannabis. Great thing. I enjoy it about cannabis. Some people don't. It still has a bit of an unpredictability to it, right?
It does. You've got to find your dose.
And if you think, if a different cultivator has grown the same strain, all things are equal. They might have harvested at a slightly different time or whatever. Next thing you know, your third 15-minute puff puts you on the moon. And I tried, but it didn't work. You're still gone.
Yeah. Well, we have some CBD around too, just in case it was too much.
Oh yeah, I've got a fainting couch. I definitely believe that when you overindulge on the plant, that's still a good learning experience. And I think
it is.
And I think also, it's not for everybody. I've known some people that when they imbibe cannabis, it is always a shit show, and it is always going to be. They've tried several times. Didn't matter set and setting. It's just it doesn't jibe with their body. And as stoners, we need to respect people who aren't comfortable. And there's a line with that, right? Like,
yeah, there's a line. Well, it's basically, are they being a Karen or not? But,
yeah, don't call the cops for a smell, please. Jesus.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Like,
just
unless
it'll be gone in a minute. Like,
unless that smell is natural gas, like, just calm your tits.
Yeah. It'll be gone in a minute. Loosen up. Really, if you want, come have a hit of it. You'll have a much better time.
Oh yeah, come see what the fuss is about, man.
But no, I get it. There are people legitimately, they just don't like the smell, the way it smells. People are different, and to those people, I try not to do it around them. If I'm smoking, I won't be near them and stuff. So be respectful of people, but also fuck the Karens.
And on that fuck the Karens note, is there anything that you'd like to share before we get out of here with the Bagseed Chronicles audience? Do you want them to follow you on Instagram? Maybe check out your podcast? What's up?
Yeah, check us out. Our podcast is Smokin Okies, a cannabis podcast where myself and Evan Wade, we cover all things cannabis in Oklahoma and beyond. Now that we're here in Oregon, what's up? But you can find us on Instagram at Smokin Okies Pod. We also have a website that'll take you to our Discord, which is smokinokiespod.com. You feel free to send us any questions, concerns. Call us shitheads. I don't care. Reach out and just, let us know what you want to hear.
Yes. Call them and tell them how angry you are with them. Any engagement is good engagement.
Yeah, totally. I think we have at least one hater from Reddit. That's why I say that. So yeah, reach out, man.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the Bagseed Chronicles. All right, everybody, let's overgrow the world.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Bagseed Chronicles. You can contact me on Instagram at Uncle Dig or at my email, uncledig4@gmail.com. The producer of the music found on this podcast is Chad DeVilliers. He can be found on YouTube at Ukuleles Are Stupid and on Instagram at Chadwick Enterprises.